Hi, Mrs. Potter's class. I am behind the camera today. I am on my way to the gym, so I clearly do not want you to see me in this state. But we're sitting here with another one of my Potter kids. This is Lewis, for those of you that haven't met him. Hey, Lou. And I thought that this would be a great time for us to kind of sit down with an interview with Lou. So Lewis, welcome to 6th and 7th grade agriculture. But I wanted to get some information from you. We're studying kind of rabbit. We're not just kind of studying them, we are studying them, but we wanted to delve a little bit deeper. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been working with rabbits.
I've been working with rabbits since 2011, so we are on year 10 this year, very exciting. Started off with two Holland Lops, a black and a chin buck. They lived together for all of winter, and then that spring we got a Californian, and then from there we went to a swap meet, picked up some English Lops, and I convinced you to go ahead and buy us a couple more so we could have babies, because you know we can make extra money with babies. And then one thing led to another, and now here we are. I've got over 100 rabbits here, and lived somewhere we had over 1,500 rabbits. So it's been quite a jump from the beginning when we had just a couple, huh?
Yeah, you've always been the young entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
Yes. And how did you become interested in them? Who got you interested in rabbits?
Who got me interested in rabbits? I think myself. I think, you know, like when we went to purchase those rabbits, when we picked up the rabbits at the swap meet, those papers on the way home, you know, we had the pedigrees for the one rabbit, Cinderella, and so that paper had a lot of information about the background, the pedigree. You know, had the 4 generations about the daughter and who her parents were and what the parents' weights were and grandparents and colors and age, and so that was exciting. And I think from there I just kind of went with that piece of paper and really looked into what it meant and what was behind it, and found the ARBA, American Rabbit Breeders Association. And I think that's when I found the first show and convinced you to go to the show in DeLand. And I remember a few weeks prior we picked up 2 does that I found on Facebook, and I spent the extra money I had, and purchased them. You made me buy those myself, I won't forget. And those 2 does, we were at the show, and the lady walked up and said, "Hey, those are my rabbits." And those were her rabbits that she sold to someone, and she remembered them. And that was Emily Shiver, and that day she basically quote-unquote adopted us as her rabbit family, and we went home with Magnolia that day, the other rabbit that we got, and that was just kind of the start. I think that it was the excitement of someone being there to kind of hold our hand, and at the same time the excitement of something new. At the time, you know, I was kind of going through my own problems with my disabilities and stuff, and going away from racing and trying to find something else that I could be passionate about while still moving forward in life. And I think that even at such a young age, that was kind of what I chose. And here we are. This is what I do every weekend, all weekend, and all week, every day. So life kind of revolves around it.
Yes, it's big for you. How many different breeds have you raised?
I don't really necessarily have a count on that, because, you know, we've all kind of had that random one, you know, Belgian hare, or the one Flemish giant, or the checker giant you had to have because they're cool and massive. So I don't think there's necessarily a number I've raised. I think breeds that I've selectively raised for a long period of time, I think we could probably narrow it down to about 10, with the top being Dwarf Papillons, obviously for the COD process we're going through, passed last year but still going through now, and then English Lops, English Spots, Netherland Dwarfs, and Britannia Petites. I would say those are probably the top 5 breeds I've focused on mainly throughout. So yeah, 5 I would say probably be my focus.
And what's your favorite then?
Favorite? You know, the ARBA is composed of 50 breeds, and each breed is, there's even a line in the standard that says a new breed cannot be accepted if it resembles another breed. And I think that's kind of one thing that's kind of neat about the 50 breeds, is there's other breeds of cattle that look the same, other breeds of horses that look the same. Rabbits, you can look at a rabbit and tell the difference between them because of their specific characteristics. So I don't think I necessarily have one breed I love or prefer. I think I have characteristics of breeds I am grabbed to, like full arch breeds. I've always kind of raised a lot of full arch breeds. I love Britannia Petites because they're sassy and fun and attitudinal. I like the rabbits that, you know, have some life to them. They're not just going to sit there, and I kind of like them to be fun and active. The English slops kind of the opposite. I know they're a little lazy, but they're just cool because they have a lot of characteristic to them and a lot of love and passion. So whenever you're around them, they want to love on you and you want to love on them. We had one get out this morning. Haven't even told you about it. We had one get out and came out to the barn. His cage door is open, and I had to hop the fence. He was in the back neighbor's yard. Dug a hole under the fence, and I'm walking and I see his big orange butt sticking out with his two white lines because he's a broken, two white lines on his butt. I walked up, picked him up, and he just looked at me and snuggled. He was as happy as could be. Could have cared less. He just wanted to go on an adventure. So I think that's kind of what I like. Like I said, every breed is kind of different. They have their own characteristics. So I don't have a favorite. I think I just kind of love that each breed is different. So I appreciate that about them.
Awesome. You're now an ARBA judge, an ARBA judge.
Yes.
How long did it take you to become a judge?
It's by the books, it's a 5-year process. You have to be an ARBA member for 3 years, and then you get your registrar's license. And that in itself is I would say anywhere from 2 to 6 month process, depending on how quickly and how active you are. And then from there, you have another 2 years until you can get your judge's license, and you can test for that. And then from there, you have at minimum a 3 month to 9 month process. They allow you up to 2 years because it takes some people that long just because of travel and shows and availability, you know, with life.
Wow. Okay. What is the most rewarding part of being an ARBA judge?
The most rewarding part. The honor for someone to want to listen to you talk about their animals. I think, you know, in life, it's a challenge we all have. We all want to be right. Whether it's if you punched your sister, or whether or not, you have the best rabbit at the show, or if your car can go faster, or if your song is better, or your favorite ice cream tastes better. I think, you know, to be able to have someone respect you and step back and listen to what you have to say about their animals. And a lot of people take the things that judges say to heart and take it home and breed their herd off of that. They look at what I have to say about their animal and anywhere of 30 to 60 second span of time, and base their whole breeding program off of that. And I don't think a lot of judges take the time to really realize that the respect level that we need to have for the exhibitors, because they're taking what we say to heart as much as what we're doing we take to heart. So we need to take the time. And so I think that is probably one thing I love most about judging.
All right, Lewis, what is the most rewarding part of being a judge?
The most rewarding part is probably most definitely the opportunity to judge. I know that kind of sounds obvious, but it is the answer. We always want to be right in life, whether it's your favorite ice cream, whether or not you punched your sister or brother, or whether or not you have the best rabbit. And the person who determines that at times is myself. I determine what I believe is the best rabbit. And so it takes a lot for someone to put up their animal to be torn apart by someone and assessed and evaluated. And so I think that I respect them and appreciate the fact that they listen and have the trust in me to show under me, to listen to my comments. And, a lot of people base what judges say, base their breeding program off of what judges say, because a lot of times they're still learning. A lot of people are still learning about what aspects there are to the rabbit, what a pinched hindquarter is, what a good crown is, or good or bad coat, texture, length, color, condition, hindquarter, shoulder, midsection, loin, depth, width. There's so many aspects to the rabbit, and in a 30 to 60 second span of time, what I say can impact what that breeder does with that rabbit, whether it is to call to get rid of, send to another breeding program, not allowed to be used in other breeding programs. That is determined a lot by what we as judges say. And so I think a lot of times we take that for granted, and it's an honor.
Absolutely. You get to travel a lot?
A ton. It kind of ruins it, I won't lie. Noah and I get to go on other adventures, or family, we get to go on other adventures, and everyone gets excited. Mom and Dad said to us tomorrow, we're going to Disney next week, and I was back in 2005, talk about dating me. If we were back then, we'd be so excited. You'd be teasing us. We're going to the broccoli convention. And and in reality, we all secretly knew we were going to Disney once we finally learned what the broccoli convention was, and it wasn't real after how many times. Or at least not in Orlando. It is real. But so I think that it kind of ruins it because I get to travel so much. And when I travel, a lot of times I travel and go straight to the show, judge, turn around, get right back on a plane and fly home, and I don't get to visit where I go. But at the same time, especially right now in the middle of a pandemic, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to still get to travel, because most of my friends or people I consider close, or that I get to chat with, I don't get to see unless it's for rabbit shows. So because of my travel, I'm able to visit a lot of the people I hold near and dear. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be bored at home without rabbits, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
and how many states have you not, let's work backwards, because I think it'll be easier. How many states have you not been to?
I think I'm down to 4. I have 4 states left to go to.
Alaska?
I have Alaska.
Have you been to the Dakotas?
I have been to one Dakota, not the other. I have not been to Maine.
Which is a tragedy, because Maine is beautiful.
I know. Alaska.
Maybe 3?
Maybe. No, I think Montana, but I'm knocking that off in a month. I will be in Montana in April, so I won't have to worry about that anymore.
Wow.
I'm very fortunate. I will say, we travel for rabbit shows like England. That was one big one. Tyler got to go with us. That was for a rabbit show. We're looking at this next coming year, 22, going to Europe for the World Show. It happens only every 4 years. It was rescheduled for next year. It was supposed to be this year. So, the opportunity is endless. It's just a matter of, with work and everything else, going every weekend. It's a quick in and out. So with the bigger traveling, like to conventions and to other shows, especially when you're not showing, you get to enjoy it more. So that's a benefit.
Okay. Yeah. So judging,
yes. Judging is good.
Okay. Now, on to the more serious side. I've mentioned to the kids in 6th and 7th grade, RHDV, and we know that is like, that's like a serious disease. And the kids asked me, is it something like coronavirus for rabbits? And I explained to them it was actually more serious, because there's not the longevity with this illness. Like, it will wipe out a rabbitry. It could wipe out your rabbitry in a matter of minutes.
Yes, there's different strands. So kind of a back history. In 1984 was when RCV was found, and that's where RHDV, not 2, just RHDV originated from. It was kind of a harmless vaccine then, or harmless disease then at the time, and it traveled through Europe and into Australia some. And it wasn't a big deal, but in 1984 is when it went from RCV to RHDV, and it became more deadly. And then in 2010 was when it mutated again and turned into RHDV2. And at first, it was originally created as a way for farmers to handle rabbits in the fields eating their crops and veggies and stuff. And now it obviously got a hand. Prime example is in 18 months, Australia was wiped out of wild rabbits, because of the disease when it first happened there. It was in 2015, I believe, that when it hit, it wiped out into 18 months the whole population from one side of the country. It just went straight across.
Wow.
So it's pretty deadly. You know, it can travel on our clothes. The good thing about the virus is it doesn't live long. So if you don't necessarily have it on you, or if you don't touch a live protein, as in a animal or fruit or veggie or something that carries it, you're good. But when you do carry it and you get it into your barn, within 15 days you'll notice the symptoms, and it has anywhere from when it first started, obviously was harmless. RCV, RHDV was harmless. They didn't have a great control on it, and let alone a vaccine at the time. So it was up to 100% mortality rate. But now with the new strain RHDV2, that is become something that is anywhere from 80 to 100% mortality rate. So, and if certain states like Florida, Colorado, not Colorado, Utah, they have laws where if you have the virus, they come in and get rid of all your animals, put them down. They cannot go anywhere else, and then they burn down the buildings that the animals were in. So
they basically take eminent domain of your property.
yes, you can't do anything about it. There's no control.
So this is tragic, and it doesn't, like you said, in Australia it was the wild rabbits, but this is wild and domesticated.
Wild and domesticated. So yes, that it's a big deal. A lot of people would think that why would you have it in wild but not in domestic, or why in domestic and not wild? Domesticated rabbits, you have to think, are kept, in enclosures. They're kept in cages, in rabbit cages, different enclosures. So it's pertained to one area. It's almost better. Like right now, we have a case that we are one day past quarantine. We are just past yesterday was quarantine ending. So we have our first show this coming weekend in Georgia. And we're not nervous at all because it was a 90-day period of time before we're allowed to do anything from the last case. So that was 90 days ago. There's been no other cause or cases seen. There has been testing done, and even in the own county here, or even though it wasn't here in this county, there was still a test done in Volusia County, and it came back negative. So the good thing about it, though, back to my point of being domesticated, when it's domesticated, it's controlled because it's only handed out or passed around by people who are within the rabbit community. Compared to wild rabbits, they get to roam freely. And I don't know about where you are, but at least a few houses down, we have a bunch of wild rabbits running around. So you cannot control wild rabbits. You know, they roam freely, they cross roads, so your tires touch that. So when it's in a wild habitat, it's a lot more rogue. It's more like wildfire, crosses extremely quickly, travels extremely quickly because the rabbits are constantly moving and have free space to roam. Compared to where right now with less shows, RHD, if it's in a domesticated rabbit or within a barn, it's harder for it to travel. You're going to see the signs quite quickly, so you're not going to involve other people into your house or invite them in. And then on top of it, with the coronavirus, there's not nearly as many shows, so you have a lot longer time period between the shows, so in case you do have the symptoms, you stop yourself from spreading it to other people.
Okay, so the pandemic has really kind of helped stop the spread.
Yes. It's still obviously a situation. It's been mainly the main West Coast situation or deal, virus. It's happened in New York. There was a case last year in New York, and then there was this case in Florida, and that's the only two cases on the East Coast, east of the Mississippi, period, that we've had. And so it's been a big question of why. Why do we have it suddenly? The New York case, it's suspected that it came down from up north, out of the U.S. Territory. The case in Florida suspected that it was possibly a dead rabbit in a field that was dead already, had the virus. The hay was tossed up, put into hay bales, and the hay bale was brought to Florida. And then that hay bale was delivered to a feed store where someone went, picked up rabbits, and that hay bale transferred it over. So we're just fortunate that no one else bred rabbits that went to that feed store, really.
But how bizarre that it just happened.
It didn't, nothing in Georgia, Alabama, Texas, it's all clear all through there. So
wow.
There has been a case in Texas, but
east of the Mississippi, two cases.
Yeah.
Okay. we're gonna have to wrap this up in 1 minute, but I wanted to ask you, Lou, just kids thinking, you know, we're coming up on Easter, everybody wants a pet rabbit. Is this something that people that have a pet rabbit in their home that are not showing, that are not going to the lengths that you go through with Arba, is this something that somebody that has a pet rabbit should be worried about?
Yes, you know, domesticated means kept at home or enclosed cage, or it's able to communicate. It's adapted to humans. So those are rabbits that we keep as pets. So that's the same thing. My rabbits in my barn are the same things as your pet rabbit at home. So if there's one thing I can say is there is you can search RHDV2 map if you have a rabbit. You can pull up the map and it will show you where there's active cases, and if there's an active case within your state, I would say just let alone within the state. I would, you know, not go home straight from being out in the public and touch your rabbit. I would go home and wash your hands. I wouldn't touch your rabbit and then touch someone else's rabbit. You know, if you have a rabbit, don't go to your friend's house who has a rabbit. You know, I know it's a lot to keep up on, but if you really think about it, it's not that often that you run across a situation where your friend has a rabbit or something like that if you don't raise rabbits like we do. So, you know, look up RHDV2. And it's kind of cool. You can see where the map is, you can see past cases, you can see actively what's going on and how it's working. So
kind of take the same precautions for your rabbit that we do as people when we're dealing with the pandemic with like coronavirus.
Absolutely. It's no different. You know, you can do a bleach bath for your shoes. Don't wear the same shoes near your rabbits. Like here, you know, I know we only have 30 seconds, if even that, but what we've done here, you know, we have a specific pair of shoes that go in the barn. People that have rabbits don't come visit us. People who are going to rabbit shows don't come visit us. If I go to a rabbit show, or in the past 90 days of quarantine when we've been in this situation, you know, I would get in my car, I would take my shoes off when I got to the airport, put a different pair of shoes on that I've bleached, that have been sitting in a bleach bath, and then those are the shoes that I wear at the show for the whole weekend. And then when I get back in my car, those shoes come off, go in the back of my car, I put my shoes back on, and then those get cleaned when I get home.
Wow.
So, you know, it's a long process, but it's worth it. It's no different than washing your hands, except you're washing your hands to save the rabbits, not your own self.
Because they can't take care of themselves, you have to take care of them.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this time. Guys, I am, again, not going to turn the camera on me. I'm going to say to you what I always say to you. Bye for now. Lewis is saying it for me. So, Lewis, thank you so much for this time.
Of course. I hope we get to do this again. Maybe we can talk about some specific things, rabbits and stuff like that.
I would love to do a showmanship class with you.
Yeah, that would be fun. Absolutely.
All right. Guys, bye for now.